There is a reason Caitlin Clark has a Nike deal bigger than any WNBA player in history, a Wilson signature line that had not been done since Michael Jordan, and now a $50 million Gatorade deal with a flavor that broke the internet. None of that happened by accident. There is an equally clear reason why Angel Reese's shoes are in the bargain bin. Reebok has gone completely silent on marketing them, and major sponsors are reportedly having second thoughts. Trust me, Reese's reaction to all of this is exactly what you would expect, and it's hilarious. Are you Team Caitlin or Team Reese? Let me know in the comments below. Gatorade has been in the athlete partnership business for decades. Michael Jordan drank it, LeBron James drank it, Serena Williams drank it. In all that time, across all those deals, not one product launch ever broke their website. Then Caitlin Clark dropped Rainberry, and Gatorade's servers could not keep up. Let us talk about what this deal actually looks like. The partnership is reported at around $50 million, which puts it among the largest endorsement packages ever handed to a female athlete in any sport, not just basketball. That number alone would be a story. But the structure of the deal is what really matters here. Gatorade did not just put Clark's name on an existing product. They revived a flavor Caitlin loved growing up, added a unique twist, and made it her own. Her own flavor. That is a completely different level of commitment. Here is what the Rainberry launch actually looked like. The bottles were tied directly to Clark's personal brand identity, the color, the name, the packaging, all of it built around her. Rainberry was not a generic product with a sticker on it. It was a cultural moment from the second it went live. And the consumer response was immediate. Within minutes of launch, Gatorade's website was overwhelmed. Fans were posting screenshots of error pages. The product was gone before most people even had a chance to load the page. Now think about what Gatorade actually risked here. They have an established roster of athletes. They did not need to make this move. They have options, but they looked at their entire lineup and decided Clark was the one who got a signature flavor, not a co-branded campaign, not a limited colorway, not a logo placement on a bottle. A flavor is a permanent stock-keeping unit. It sits on shelves in stores across the country. It gets reordered by retailers based on how fast it sells. It either has legs or it does not. Rainberry sold out so fast that the question of whether it has legs became irrelevant on day one. And here's what that sellout actually tells you. Gatorade does not just watch social media. They track retail velocity across thousands of outlets nationwide. When a flavor moves at the speed Rainberry did, that data tells them something very specific. The demand is coming from outside the core fan base. People who do not watch the WNBA, people who had never bought a Clark jersey or followed her on Instagram, were picking up that bottle at checkout. That's crossover appeal in its most measurable form. None of this came out of nowhere either. Clark's first season with the Indiana Fever gave every major brand a real-world case study in what she does to a product's visibility. Games sold out. Merchandise moved. TV ratings jumped. Gatorade watched all of that. They tracked the data. And then, when they felt confident enough in what they were seeing, they made their move, and they made it at $50 million with a signature flavor attached. The website crash is the moment everyone is talking about, and honestly, it deserves the attention it is getting. But it is actually the smallest part of what this deal represents. A $50 million partnership does not get structured around a single launch day. It gets structured around where a brand thinks an athlete's commercial ceiling is over the next several years. And the ceiling Gatorade is betting on for Caitlin Clark is not anywhere close to where people had her pegged 2 years ago. When a product launch crashes a major corporation's website in 2026, that is a market verdict. Gatorade bet their signature flavor line on Clark, and the consumer responded before the servers could even process the demand. But the Gatorade deal, as massive as it is actually just the most recent chapter in a commercial story that has been rewriting the rules for female athletes since Clark first stepped into the league. There is exactly one name in Wilson Sporting Goods history that had a signature line before Caitlin Clark. One. And you already know who it is, Michael Jordan. That is the list. Jordan, and now Clark. Let that sit for a second. So let's lay out the full picture of what Clark's endorsement portfolio actually looks like right now. She has a Nike deal, the largest endorsement contract in WNBA history. She has a State Farm deal, and she is the first female athlete State Farm has ever signed in the brand's entire history. She has the Wilson signature line, and now she has a $50 million Gatorade deal with her own flavor. Any single one of those deals would be a headline on its own. All four of them together, landing within roughly a 2-year window, form something that simply has no comparison in the history of women's sports. The Wilson deal deserves its own moment here because people glossed over it when it was announced. Wilson does not give out signature lines. That is not how they operate. They are one of the most established sporting goods companies in the world, and they are extremely selective about which athletes get their name permanently attached to a product line. The last time they did it before Clark was Michael Jordan. Not a recent star, not someone from the last decade. Michael Jordan, the athlete whose commercial legacy literally redefined what it means to be a sports brand. Clark is now in that category. Not because people are comparing her to Jordan, because Wilson made the same decision for her. And this is where people need to understand what a signature line actually means. It is not a limited run. It is not a seasonal campaign. Wilson is manufacturing, distributing, and marketing products under Clark's name on an ongoing basis. That is a permanent line item in their business. Brands do not do that unless they believe in the long-term commercial power of the athlete attached to it. The State Farm deal carries the same weight when you look at it closely. State Farm has been in sports marketing for a very long time. They have worked with male athletes across football, baseball, and basketball. They had never brought in a female athlete, not once, until Clark. That is not a gap they filled randomly. State Farm has decades of consumer data telling them which partnerships move the needle for their business. They looked at all of that data and decided Clark's audience was worth reaching. That is a significant decision from a brand that does not make significant decisions lightly. Then there is Nike. The deal is reported at $28 million over 8 years, which is the highest endorsement figure any WNBA player has ever secured with a footwear brand. But the more important detail is what is coming next. Clark's first signature shoe, expected to drop in 2026. Nike has built entire brand empires on signature shoes. Jordan Brand, which started as a single shoe line, still generates over $1 billion annually. Clark's shoe has not even launched yet, and analysts are already projecting it sells out within minutes. Nike, State Farm, Wilson, Gatorade. These are not small companies chasing a social media trend. These are 4 of the biggest commercial names in American culture, and every single one of them made a long-term commitment to Clark in the same short window. When brands that size move that fast in the same direction, they are not reacting to a hot moment. They are positioning for the next decade. Clark is not just a basketball player with a good sponsorship team. She is a commercial infrastructure at this point. Forbes noticed, and when Forbes puts a number on your influence, the rest of the sports world has no choice but to pay attention. Forbes does not hand out rankings based on who is loudest on social media. They look at sponsorship value, audience reach, economic impact across an entire league, and how much an athlete's influence actually converts in the real world. So when Forbes named Caitlin Clark the most powerful female athlete on the planet, that was not a compliment. That was a finding. The full ranking placed Clark 4th among the most powerful women in sports overall. The 3 names above her, Gail Benson, Amy Howe, and Amy Montaigne, are all executives. They run organizations. Among active athletes, Clark sits alone at the top. That's the number that matters, and the data behind it is specific. Her off-court earnings in her rookie season alone were $11.1 million. No first-year WNBA player had ever posted a number like that. Not even close. Forbes measures sponsorship value, yes, but they also look at social engagement quality, meaning not just how many followers an athlete has, but how much those followers actually respond and convert when a brand gets involved. They look at cross-industry reach, which is whether an athlete pulls audiences from outside their core sport. And they look at league-wide economic impact, meaning whether the athlete is lifting the entire ecosystem around them. Clark checks every single one of those boxes, and the receipts are public record. Now here's the part that got people talking. Angel Reese, who spent the better part of 2 years making it very clear she considered herself Clark's commercial equal, if not her rival, was not on the Forbes list. Not lower on the list, not in a secondary category, not even an honorable mention. Just absent. And look, Reese has been visible. She has media coverage. She has a Reebok deal. She has social media numbers that would make most athletes jealous. But visibility and value are two very different things, and Forbes measures value. The pattern of Reese's public positioning over the past 2 years tells a pretty clear story. She announced brand partnerships in close proximity to Clark's announcements, repeatedly. Her social media commentary kept circling back to Clark. When Clark did crossover work with the LPGA, Reese publicly posted about playing golf, a moment that read less like a genuine hobby and more like a territorial reaction. Once is a coincidence. A consistent pattern across 2 years is a strategy, and it's one that apparently did not move the commercial needle enough to register on Forbes' radar. Sportico added another layer to this. They named Clark the highest-paid player in the entire WNBA. Now, keep in mind, Clark is still on a rookie-scale contract. Her on-court salary is not what is pushing her to the top of that list. Her off-court earnings are so substantial that they put her above every other player in the league, regardless of their contract size. That is an extraordinary signal from the market. It means sponsors are paying Clark at a level that makes her base salary almost irrelevant to the total picture. Both the Forbes ranking and the Sportico data are just numbers. They do not require spin or interpretation. But what they tell you, side by side, is that the gap between Clark's commercial trajectory and Reese's is not just wide, it is growing. The market has been communicating this quietly for months through retail data, brand decisions, and audience metrics. Forbes and Sportico just made it impossible to ignore. Being named the most powerful female athlete in the world while simultaneously topping the WNBA's earnings list is not a moment. It is a market assessment, and the fact that her most vocal rival did not show up on either list is not a coincidence. It is a data point. Because while Clark was collecting rankings, something very different was happening to the Reebok shoe that was supposed to be Angel Reese's big commercial moment. A signature shoe is supposed to be a statement. It's the moment a brand plants their flag and says, "This athlete is our bet." Angel Reese's Reebok signature shoe has been on the market for months now. It's sitting in clearance sections at major retailers. And Reebok has gone almost completely silent on marketing it. That's not a soft launch strategy. That's a problem with no good spin on it. When Reebok signed Reese, the announcement was loud. The rollout was visible. The timing felt deliberate, coming right on the heels of Clark's Nike deal, positioned as Reebok's way of saying they had their own star in the women's game. The partnership was framed as a big moment for Reebok's return to relevance in women's sports. They wanted attention, and they got it. But then the shoe actually hit shelves, and the sales data told a very different story. Months in, the shoe has not sold out. There are no wait lists. There's no consumer urgency driving people to hunt it down. Instead, discount pricing has started showing up at major retailers. And in the footwear business, that's about as clear a signal as you can get that demand did not come close to meeting expectations. Retailers don't discount a hot product. They discount inventory they need to move. Now put that next to Clark's Nike shoe, which hasn't even launched yet. Analysts are already calling a sellout within minutes of release. Nike is actively building marketing infrastructure around a shoe that doesn't have a release date yet. Reebok is quietly marking down a shoe that's been sitting on shelves. That contrast doesn't need much explanation. Here's where it gets more complicated for Reese, though. Brands that build long-term athlete partnerships aren't just watching sales numbers. They're tracking sentiment. They're measuring association risk, meaning what does the public connect this athlete to? And does that connection help or hurt the brand's image with its core customers? And by multiple reports, major sponsors have been cooling on Reese over the past year. The concern that keeps coming up is the ongoing perception of antagonism toward Clark. The behaviors driving that perception have been consistent. Repeated social media commentary kept circling back to Clark. Brand deal announcements dropped in close proximity to Clark's announcements, in a pattern that read as reactive rather than organic. Public statements generated controversy, but didn't generate goodwill for anyone involved. Brands notice all of this. They have teams whose entire job is to monitor exactly this kind of thing, and what they've been seeing with Reese has apparently been giving them pause. Reebok's pullback on marketing is the most concrete sign of where things stand. When a brand signs an athlete to a signature shoe deal and then goes quiet on promoting it, that's not a calendar issue. That's a reassessment happening internally, and it's not a good one for the athlete on the other end of that contract. The shoe is already marked down. The marketing has dried up. Neither of those things happens to a partnership that's going well. The real question now isn't whether Reese's commercial momentum has stalled. It clearly has. The question is whether the behavior driving the problem is going to change, because if it doesn't, the gap between her trajectory and Clark's is only going to get wider and harder to close. The market doesn't trade in narratives or social media moments. It trades in what sells, what converts, and what kind of image a brand wants attached to their name. Clark's name crashes websites. Her shoe hasn't dropped, and it's already generating hype that Reese's never did. And Reese's reaction to all of this, the Gatorade deal, the Forbes ranking, the Nike buildup, the Sportico numbers, has been exactly what you'd expect from someone watching another athlete build an empire while their own commercial moment quietly slips away. What's happening with Clark right now is not really about any single deal. It's about what compounds when you combine real on-court talent, genuine crossover appeal, and consistent professionalism over time. One analyst put it simply, if we can't sell Caitlin, we can't sell anybody. The Fever head into 2026 with the most commercially powerful player in women's sports, a Nike shoe launch that's going to hit like Rainberry did, and a roster with Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Sophie Cunningham that is absolutely built to compete. The brands voted, Forbes voted, Sportico voted. The fans crashed a website. Are you Team Caitlin or Team Reese? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.